afternoon, everyone. After Beth, well, I should say there's two rock stars of the science world and then me. But I'd like to talk, rather than about the science, about all of us. The director of the National Park Service, Chuck Sams, has begun to share with us the basics of traditional ecological knowledge. One of the first principles is you need to see the world differently. As Director Sams would say, and as a number of our speakers that opened the presentation today would say, we have no words for wild or wilderness. It's just home. We are not separate from the animals, the plants, the rivers, and the mountains. And our director thinks that's critical to achieve the mission of the National Park Service, and I think to continue to succeed and continue to live on this planet. P-22 had a long life at Griffith Park because you allowed it. Instead of seeing pumas as animals to be feared, hunted, and exterminated, you welcomed him. And that's critical. P-22's story is one of hope, but the truth remains that the pumas of the Santa Monica Mountains are walking on a knife edge, and their path could lead to extinction or to coexistence. We know this, as Beth said, because of the two people behind me. Jeff Sikich and Seth Riley have devoted their careers and their lives to learning from lions, following them in all conditions, often in the dark of night, and protecting them from harm. I'm honored to have them on our team, and I'd like to them to say a few words. So, Jeff, Seth.
Wow, yeah, this is something. Yeah, I've studied hundreds of large carnivores in my career, and I never could have imagined that one of these animals could bring so many people together in celebration of coexistence. It's truly amazing to see so many people rally around P-22 and support him as a wild neighbor. To many, P-22 was this celebrity cat, but I knew him differently as part of our long-term research on mountain lions in the region. I captured him 7 times to replace radio collars and assess his health, and together we played this back and forth dance. Cat and mouse, or should I say trapper and cat, as I tracked his behaviors, monitored his movements, and walked in his footsteps. My adventures with P-22 paralleled scenes from many LA-based movies, from sneaking under the Hollywood sign at night, with permits, of course, being chased by the cops, exploring LA mansions, under pursuit from helicopters and news crews, and he even got me to the Greek. But P-22 is way more than a celebrity. He is an important ambassador for urban wildlife, and his science contributions are many. His home in Griffith Park was much smaller than any other mountain lions. Yet he behaved just like them. He remained elusive. He mainly used natural habitat areas. And when he did use urban areas, it was at night when people are less active. And he fed on normal prey of deer and other smaller mammals. He also suffered, though, from the same challenges of urban wildlife throughout the state: rodenticide poisoning, poor habitat connectivity, and busy roads. I followed P-22 every day online for the last 10 years, monitoring his movements. And all of the lions we research in the region, but especially P-22, have taught us how lions coexist with us in this complex landscape. P-22's legacy will live on in his contributions to wildlife conservation, and also our heightened awareness of how to live in harmony with nature. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks so much, Jeff. So I've been studying urban wildlife my whole career. For 35 years now, I've tracked raccoons in our nation's capital, bobcats in the shadow of the Golden Gate, coyotes in the San Fernando Valley, but a big cat in Hollywood. It's definitely, as Jeff said, the most amazing example of urban wildlife that I'll ever study, almost for sure. So it's so appropriate that this is a celebration of life. As Jeff and David and Beth have been saying, P-22 had an amazing life. He taught us some critical lessons. He taught us what wildlife has to go through to survive in the second largest city in the country. So navigating around and even across freeways, moving through dense urbanization, dodging thousands of visitors in Griffith Park, surviving exposure to things like rodenticides, and living, as Jeff mentioned, in a tiny little isolated natural area. But he also showed us what wildlife is capable of. Again, as Jeff mentioned, it's amazing that he persisted for 10 years, again, a big cat in Hollywood, and that you all and everyone coexisted with him in an amazing way for that time. And then he also left us an incredible legacy. As Beth mentioned, he increased the awareness and the concern for wildlife connectivity, and that increased awareness is turning into reality right now in the central Santa Monica Mountains. So that's an amazing thing, and we really, as Beth said, we want that just to be the beginning. We want it to turn into conservation reality across the region, across the state, and across the country. So that's exciting. So I just want to leave you with a couple of impressions that P-22 made on people that are sort of my favorites. One is, during the last year, he made some trips down into Silver Lake, and we saw an Instagram post. Someone got some video of P-22 just doing his thing, walking down the street. But you can hear in the background the person saying, "Holy bleep, that is a bleeping mountain lion," which I love, because it just shows what an amazing and exciting thing it was that P-22 even existed. And then 2 days after P-22 died, I was at Trader Joe's in Ventura wearing the same sweater that Beth is wearing now, the blue P-22 Christmas sweater, and I couldn't find the pancetta, and I asked a young man who worked there, "Oh, hey, can you help me?" And he took me to it, and I started to go and finish my shopping, and he said, "Long live P-22." Which I love. So I just want to say to P-22, thank you for the lessons that you taught us, thank you for the impressions you made on us, and thank you for the legacy you left us.
Thank you to the National Park Service. It's been an honor to work with all of them. Our next guest is again in that crazy category. He was crazy enough to think that he could get a photo of a mountain lion under the Hollywood sign. And guess what? He did it. Steve Winter, come on!
Good afternoon, P-22 lovers. Thanks for coming out today. Let me tell you a story. In 2012, I began working on a cougar story for National Geographic in Wyoming and California. I met the amazing Jeff Sickich at a scientific meeting on cougars in Montana. And I said to Jeff, "You know, the picture that would really tell this story would be a photo of a cougar with the Hollywood sign." Obviously, he thought I was crazy, because he said there's no cougars in Griffith Park. Fast forward 8 months, I got a text from Jeff. "Call me now." He then told me, "Steve, you're not gonna believe this, but there's a young cougar named P-22 in Griffith Park." So we set up 6 camera traps in steel boxes. 3 of them were stolen. Finally, after 11 months, I captured an image of P-22 with the lights of LA in the background. Nat Geo broke policy and allowed the LA Times to run it on the front page. And Angelinos met P-22. 15 months after we started, I got the picture that I dreamed of in Montana all those months beforehand. And when it ran in Nat Geo, P-22 became an international celebrity here in the city of celebrity. The LA Times calls him the most famous animal since Lassie. But there was 9 Lassies and there was only one P-22. P-22's story is a miracle, straight out of a Hollywood movie. He thrived for a decade in around an urban park visited by 24 million people a year, and millions fell in love with him. In 25 years with working with big cats with Nat Geo, I've never seen a wild animal so profoundly transform a community. P-22 became an ambassador. He changed the way Angelenos feel about urban wildlife and made people care about protecting cougars and our natural world. P-22 showed us that we can coexist with predators. And who would have ever believed that a cougar could sell out the Greek theater in 2 hours? The most fitting memorial is how we carry P-22's story forward. It's my hope that California's endangered mountain lions will bounce back and thrive, no longer risking their lives on these highways. We owe it to P-22 and all of California's wildlife to build more wildlife crossings and connect habitat. Thank you all so much for coming. Yay to the Wallace-Annenberg Wildlife Crossing, the biggest in the world. Thank you, P-22. We love you.
All right, Steve Winter. A couple things. Hey, again, to those listening on KPCC 89.3, hello. To those tuning in virtually from all over the world, hello. And if you are posting, whether you're here or anywhere, if you're posting photos or comments, hashtag P-22 forever or P-22's legacy, share them. Let's see those photos. Also, one of our staff members, Kate, had to miss her twins' birthday party today, so we're gonna give all together a big happy birthday to Olivia and Clementine. You ready? Happy birthday, Olivia and Clementine, all right. So I found out about P-22 from this next woman who wrote the first story about P-22 for the LA Times. Many of you probably found out about him this way too. Wasn't quite the global celebrity yet, but this is what caused him to propel him to stardom. So we owe his fame to Martha Groves. Come on up, Martha.
Wow, what a turnout. Thank you all for coming out to honor our P-22. Back in 2012, before some of you were born, I had the privilege of being the first reporter to write about P-22. And that was the first of many appearances that P-22 made on the front page of the LA Times. Once the cat was out of the bag, this powerful puma became a superstar in a town known for them. I wrote about P-22 every chance I got. Remember that sad photo of the mangy P-22? Yeah. Thank you to Jeff Sikich, the Puma Whisperer, for saving him that time. Like us human cohabitants, P-22 explored LA, as you've heard. And, you know, he did go to the LA Zoo and instead of popcorn, munch on a koala. Oops. I worried about him then and always, but I drew hope from writing about the wildlife crossing and the plans to go over the freeway in Agoura Hills. Yay. After I retired from the LA Times, I held a fundraiser for the wildlife crossing, and Beth brought her P-22 cardboard cutout and her P-22 arm tattoo. And she helped us raise some good money. And in April, I attended the groundbreaking of the Wallace-Annenberg Wildlife Crossing in Agoura Hills. What an accomplishment. Thank you, Wallace and Beth. As the t-shirt says, P-22 he really is my homeboy. Above the fold-out couch in my little guest house, Steve Winter's famous print of P-22 in front of the Hollywood sign. You know, the one that Congressman Adam Schiff wants to put on a stamp? So I call my space the Cougar Den. When I got the sad alert on that Saturday in December saying that P-22 had been euthanized, I was hiking in a park near a sign that said there are mountain lions here, so watch your ass, and I promptly burst into tears. The good news is that P-22 lived a long and glorious life, and he will forevermore be a part of our LA lore, and we owe him the honor of working very hard to protect all of the wildlife that come after him. Thank you.
Some other people who have been so instrumental, and again, thank you, Martha. I'm here today because of your article, who have been so instrumental in the protection of P-22 are these next two guests. First is Jerry Hans, who is founder and president of Friends of Griffith Park. I've learned so much from him. And Dan Cooper, a biologist with the Resource Conservation District. He actually was part of the study that took the first photo of P-22, so come on out. The protections we have in Griffith Park that made it a habitat for the mountain lions are because of these two.
Jerry Hans, and I'm proud to be here representing Friends of Griffith Park, the organization that initiated the study that discovered P-22 and introduced him to the world. I'm joined by our science advisor, Dr. Dan Cooper of Cooper Ecological Monitoring. In 2011, Friends of Griffith Park challenged the popular notion that Griffith Park was an ecological island. Being called an island is not a compliment at all in terms of the long-term prospects for wildlife in this huge urban park. Genetic mixing is very important, and isolation can drive local extinctions. With our purchase of 13 wildlife cameras, a study agreement with Cooper Ecological Monitoring, and a right-of-way permit from the city, the Griffith Park Wildlife Connectivity Study began.
So joined by Dr. Aaron Boydston from USGS and Miguel Ordeñana, a local wildlife biologist who'd grown up near the park. We'll see him in a sec. We set our sights on Cahuenga Pass and the 101 freeway, that formidable barrier between Griffith Park and the rest of the Santa Monica Mountains. Our goal was to show that mule deer can and do use freeway overpasses. We really never imagined getting a photo of a mountain lion, a species that had to that point just been a rumor in Griffith Park. So now Griffith Park is a little emptier without P-22, but our urban wilderness continues to be home for many wild creatures, including species of wildlife long gone from most of the LA basin, like horned lizards, bobcats, and even a nesting pair of peregrine falcons, if you can believe it. And as Angelinos, we've learned to respect wildlife on its own terms. Not to be afraid of lions or rattlesnakes or that scary poison oak sign, but to live with them and to give them the space they need to thrive. From our perch here at the Greek Theater, we can see the places where P-22 roamed and reigned, and we can see where the next P-22 will roam when another crossing happens again, which it surely will.
Griffith Park gave P-22 everything a solitary cat ever needed, except safe passage in and out. Please join us in honoring P-22's legacy and his impact on all of us by working to promote habitat connectivity in the hills. We can stop using rodenticides, and we can pass a wildlife ordinance to ensure wildlife continue to prosper right here in this large city and all across the Santa Monica Range. Thank you all.
Jerry and Dan, again, two people who have protected Griffith Park.